Well, hello everyone. Today I am going to talk about the security of network devices and how can we remotely configure those devices. So I'm going to start with the scenario here, and I want you just to picture the situation. Imagine that we have a router here, and we will have a switch here, and we have another switch here. Let's say we have a computer here, and we have a computer here. Now, this is a very, very simple network that I'm creating. Let me just get them connected really fast. Fast Ethernet, and then after that, so a gigabit bit Ethernet, and a gigabit Ethernet, another gigabit Ethernet, and a gigabit Ethernet, and finally we'll go back to fast Ethernet and fast Ethernet. I'm gonna now, what I want you to know here, let's imagine that this is a network this part of the network, imagine this is, for example, it's very, very far away network, and we have a company, we configure networks, and we sell network devices. So we will basically, let's say, imagine this is the east of the country, and this is the west of the country. So we will send someone who will have to travel for thousands of miles or hundreds of miles to get to this point so they can configure this device and this device. For example, let's just focus on the switch for now. So that person here, the technician that we have in the office, let's say in Florida, will have to travel to California to configure this device. Then all we have to do here is to bring a laptop and then connect that laptop. Oh, no, my bad. With console, and let me just disconnect it and make it right. Now, this person, he will come here and he will configure this device. And after he's done, he will go back, of course, to his office. Now, let's say 6 months later, 7 months later, something went wrong with this device. Now, the solution for that, if you just want to think about an easy solution, we can send that person to travel again to this office and then hook his laptop with that device and try to figure out what's wrong with it and try to reconfigure and fix whatever problem that we have there. But again, that doesn't make that much of sense because after all, when he's going to travel all the way to here, all he's going to be doing here is looking at a monitor so he can have access to the operating system for this switch device here. Now the question is, why does he have to travel? Why can't he just have access to the operating system from his computer in his office? And that's basically what we're going to be talking about today. How can you have a remote access to a device without the need to have a direct connection? You see here, using this console cable is what we call a direct connection. Now, my question is, how can I make this device, this PC1, for example, which doesn't have a direct access to the switch, to be able to configure the switch and fix if there's any problems? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Also, we will talk about some extra levels of security that we can add to those devices. So for now, I'm just going to go really, really fast on configuring all these other devices, and then I'm going to pay some little attention to this one here. So let's start with this. This computer, for example, I'll give it an IP address 192.168.120, and then let's say 10. Again, I don't care about IP addresses right now. Calculation, subnetting, that's not my attention. So here is default gateway, static, and I don't care about IPv6 as well. So I'm just gonna keep it simple. We'll go with static IPv4. Okay, so here's the IP address for this network. And I am done. Let me try to do the same thing here. 192.168.150.10. Come on, Control C. Control V, take this 10 away, and I am done with this network as well. Let me configure this router here. In this router, again, I don't care about the security or anything. I just want to do it fast. Enable, configure terminal, interface, gigabyte 01. Okay, now I need to remember which one is which one. So let me just close it. This is G01, which basically has This is supposed to be the IP address, so let me copy that. I'll go back here, so I'll say IPv4 address. Oh, he doesn't like it. Let me see here. IP address. Yeah, that the version 4. I forgot. So here's the IP address: 255.255.255.0. This is subnet mask, and then no shutdown. And I am done, I believe, with this side. Now let's go ahead and go to the other side. So exit interface G00 this time, and then IP address 192.168.120.1 255.255.255.0, and then exit. Oh, I didn't. Oh, my bad. I have to shut down. So let's go back. Interface G00. No shutdown. I forgot totally about that. Exit. I'm making a lot of mistakes because I'm trying to type fast. Let's go ahead and fast forward. Okay, now I should be able to ping this device right now. So if I just go back here to the command prompt, I'll say ping 192.168.120.10. Let's see here what's going on. Maybe the first one will be lost. Okay, here we go. So we got everything working correctly. Now let's go and start working on this switch here. I'm going to go ahead and use the laptop that I have here and go to the terminal, and now I have access to the switch. And I'm going to start by going with the traditionals. Now let's start with enable. We need to set passwords, so let's go ahead, configure terminal. We said enable secret, and I'm going to call it CIST117. So that's my password here. Now let's go ahead and do the console. So we'll say line console 0. Oops. Console 0. Yep. And now we'll say password, and I will call it this time Cisco. And remember, log in, enter. Now let me exit. I'm going to go to another line. This time I'm going to go with the Vtys, Vty 0, Vty, let's say 5. Now remember, we talked about Vtys before. We said those are the lines that we use. Oops, what did I do here? Vty, I think 0 to 5. Nope, he didn't like it. Let me just make sure. Oh, sorry, without the hyphen. So let's just go ahead. 0 and 4, for example. And now let's just go back and type the password. We're going to go with Cisco again, and then log in, exit. Now we know we talked about that. After you insert those passwords, you have to encrypt them. So service, password encryption, and now I set my passwords. I should always configure the what they call it, the default gateway. I forgot about that. So IP default gateway 192.168.120, and then we said 1. We also need to set the VLAN for this device as well. So let me just go ahead and do that really quick. I'm going to go terminal just like I did before. So we'll just go ahead and say interface VLAN 1. Now we'll just set IP address 192.168.120, and I'll just give it 120. And then 255.255.255.0, and of course no shut down. Okay, so let me exit. Let me exit again. Let me show running configuration. I just want to make sure that I got everything correctly. So you can see here, I didn't change the host name. I need to change the host name. Let me just do that once. So this is the enable secret. Here's the Cisco password. Here's the default gateway. What else? These are the Vtys login. So yeah, we got this is the VLAN I was talking about, and here's the default gateway. So the only part left is to change the name. So I'm just going to go do that, configure terminal, and then we'll just say host name, and I will say CL network. That's the name. Okay, so let me save what I just did. So exit, copy, running, startup, configuration. Are you sure? Yes. I got everything saved. I am good. If I just type Cisco enable CIST 117. Okay, if I just type reload, are you sure? This was going to take some time. I don't know why did I do that. Oh, no, not that long. So here we go. Cisco enable CIST 117, and here we go. Show interface. So IP interface brief. So let me just extend the view here. You can see here we got the VLAN, and we got everything okay. So I think we got this device configured and ready to... Okay, so to be able to have access to this device from a remote device. Now I just want you to imagine that the distance between this computer and this switch are hundreds of miles. So what we can do here, after we configure this device and we have all the information that we need, we can come here to this device and go to the command prompt. I already tested it, so I'm just going to show you the results. How do I get rid of this? Let me close it, open it. It's going to always be there, so I have to type it here. All you have to do, type telnet and type in the IP address, which is for the VLAN 192.168.120.120. And look what's going to happen. Immediately it's going to ask me for a password. The password was Cisco. Remember that. Now if I type enable class, CIST 117, and here we go. Look at that. I have access to it. So show running configuration, and it's showing me this is the password. What else do we have here? This is the default gateway. This is the VLAN. This is the Cisco password, and of course now I can change anything I want. I can do anything, just like I have access to that device directly. Now if I just type exit, it's just going to disconnect it, and I lost the connection. So this is how it works. So as you can see here, all I had to do is type the telnet and type the IP address. So I need to know the IP address, and I need to know the passwords for those for that device. Now telnet is working perfectly fine, as you can see here, but it has one problem is every time I'm sending data to this device and this device is sending me data back to me, the data is going to be sent in a plain form. Plain form basically means it's a text anyone can read. So if a hacker or intruder try to have access to this switch or this router or any of the routers between those two devices, they actually will be able to read the data transferred between those two devices, and this data could include sensitive information like the passwords and everything. So when I type the password will be sent to that switch. So Telnet is not secured enough. Actually, it's not secured at all, but it's fast to get the job done. What if that's not an option here? What if I need to do a SSH? Well, SSH is basically something very similar to Telnet, only the difference is when you're going to send the data is going to be encrypted, when you're going to receive the data is going to be encrypted, which basically adds a level of security to the whole system, and it's just going to make it a little bit slower because encryption and decryption takes time. Okay, so now that we understand what is Telnet and how do we have access to a remote device using Telnet, now we're going to talk about how do we do the same thing using SSH. And as we said before, SSH is more secure. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come from this laptop and go to the terminal. And let's start with Cisco, then enable, and then class, CIST 117. That's the password that I chose. Okay, CIST 117. Okay, so now that I have access, I need to tell you that you're going to have to do some steps to do that. Sometimes steps you already got them done. For example, setting the VLAN IP address. I got that type done, the part done, and then after that you have to set up the default gateway, which I got it done as well. I changed the host name, I got that done, and now I need to do this. I need to go to the configure mode, and I need to set an IP domain name, and I will just call it KCC. Okay, I just decided to choose that name. You can choose any name you would like. Now, after that part, this is a critical part where you're going to have to generate what we call encryption key. Encryption key basically are going to be generated to control the encryption and decryption process to make this communication more secure. To do that, you're going to have to type a really long command: crypto key generate RSA. And now he's asking you, do you really want to replace them? Yes. And then he's going to ask you about what is the number that you would like to choose. He's suggesting 512. I'm going to go with 0 to 4. And then I got that part covered. So this is, again, a very, very critical and important step to generate those keys that are going to be used for the process of encryption and decryption. You need to set the password or the secret that we know. We already got that done before. And now we need to create what we call a username. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. User name. I'm going to call it admin. And then password, I'm going to call it class. Remember, this password is very, very important, and this admin name is very, very important as well. So remember here, we had the IP domain name, which is called KCKCC. We have a username called admin. We have a password for that username called class. And we also generated the encryption keys. Okay, so we got that part covered. The next step is to go to the Vtys. So we type line Vty 0 to 4. That's the one that I chose before. Now, this is critical. You're going to have to type the following line: transport input. Wait a minute. And you type SSH. By default, the transport input is Telnet. I'm telling it to change to SSH. After that, I have to type login local to enable it. Now that I'm done with this process, I can exit, and I'm done. Now what I need to do, I need to come here and just like I did with the SSH, remember here I'm going to this computer. I'm going to come here and type the following. Okay, so what do I type here? You type SSH-L. And then after that, the username, which is admin. And then after that, you type the IP address, which is 192.168.120 and 120. Immediately now, he's going to ask you for the password. The password you have to type here is a class. And look at that. I have access now. Enable. He's asking me for the CIST 117. And now configure terminal. And I have access to that system, and I can do whatever I want. And now I lost connection with that device. So you can see here those two methods to remotely have access to a device will work. By default, Telnet is the default way to do that. If you don't like Telnet and security is an issue, which it should, you should use SSH to make sure you have a secure communication between those two devices, and there is no need for you to send someone to travel for 100 miles to get to that switch to be able to get the job done where he can get it done from his computer. Now, the last part I'm going to be talking about is, let me see if I can actually get that done inside the router. So I'm going to disconnect this part and put this here with the console. And let's go to the terminal. And let me just extend the view here. And now I got the router. I'm going to try to see if I can actually set some security configuration. So enable configure terminal. Now, let's see here. Security. Oh, yeah. Now he's accepting it. I think I couldn't have done that with... Yep. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to set some rules when you create a password. So security password, I'll say mini length to be 8. That basically means when you're going to try to create a password and you choose 4 characters, it's not going to be acceptable. It has to be 8 characters. What else? I can do this. I can type login block for 120 attempts, 3 within 60. So what does that mean? Before I press enter, I'm asking the computer to disable the interface with the user if the user within 1 minute 60 seconds try to enter the password 3 times incorrectly. The whole system is morally going to block anyone from having access for 2 minutes. Okay, so this will be the end of this video. I hope you guys understood what I was talking about today. Try it yourself and see how things will go. So this will be, again, the end of the video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys later.